How's it going, and welcome back to another video. I have been sent the Zhiyun Tech, I don't know how to pronounce it, but this is their Smooth Q. This is the cheapest gimbal that they've ever made, and it is the direct competitor for the DJI Osmo Mobile, which is almost twice as much. This here is $140. The DJI Osmo is now about $250. It used to be $300, but a lot more than this is. And this is fantastic. Very impressed so far. This was sent to me by a company called B-Star Photo on Amazon. You can check their link in the description. Also, there will be a link for this if you're interested in buying one. So let's go ahead and crack this box open to see what's inside. So when I first opened this gimbal, there were a few things that really stood out to me. The first thing was that when you get into the box, you are greeted by a tiny ukulele-esque case. And this thing feels pretty sturdy. It's not a super hard case. As you can see, it does squeeze quite effortlessly, but it is better than nothing, and it's a good place to store your gimbal when you're not using it or if you're carrying it around in a bag. So when you open the tiny guitar case, you're greeted by the gimbal itself, which, when you pick it up, it's ridiculously light. When I first picked this thing up, I thought that I needed to put the batteries in there, and I looked around trying to find a battery compartment as well as the batteries, but they were nowhere to be found. This thing feels like an empty piece of plastic, but it still manages to feel like it was well made. All the machining seems to be just right. The fit and the finish is on point. Overall, I'm impressed with how solid it feels for how lightweight it is, which isn't a bad thing. You also get a micro USB cord in the box for charging it up, and you get a strap for the gimbal case just in case you feel like throwing it around your neck so you can be the coolest kid in school. I think you guys just witnessed the only time I will ever use the strap. It's got a micro USB port on the side for charging it. It's got a 1/4 thread in the bottom for mounting it to tripods or various accessories that you might have. And it's got a full-size USB port on the back so you can plug your phone in and charge while you shoot. So as with most gimbals you get these days, you get a few standard modes that come with it. The first one is follow pan mode, which it'll follow the pan, but it's locked on the tilt. The next one is full follow mode. It'll follow on the tilt as well as on the pan. The next one is locking mode, where it locks on all axes. You can't get the camera to turn in any direction. It's always going to stay pointing exactly where it's pointing. You can also operate the gimbal by the joystick on the back, and triple press actually flips the camera completely around into selfie mode, and then triple press again takes it back pointing forwards. And if you go to the App Store and download the app for it, you can also use the zoom and record button as well. But the app is kind of lackluster. It doesn't have many features. It's essentially just a camera replacement app, and it's limited as far as the resolution and your frame rate and various things like that. I don't really recommend it. It's not worth the frustration. And you can actually stand this one up on end, unlike other gimbals on the market. The motors are not full 360 motors. You'll see that there is actually a stop here, which prevents it from rolling all the way past that. And that essentially keeps you from messing up. The motors that are used in this, they are cheaper motors because it's a cheaper unit. Totally worth the trade-off for a gimbal this cheap. In order to get into inverted modes, what you do is you just keep on tilting it up and it'll eventually switch. You tilt up some more and it'll switch again. And now you're in inverted mode. So you can cruise around chasing your dog throughout the yard like this. To get it back, you just keep going in the same direction. Going backwards won't work out. Well, going backwards does work out. Didn't work out for me last time. And it'll switch back and you're ready to roll. You do have to be a little careful there because you can end up backwards. So as far as battery life goes, there is a built-in non-removable 3400 milliamp battery, which is supposed to power this thing for continuous use for up to 12 hours. Now that translates to real world use for days and days, unless you're somebody that's really pushing out a lot of footage with this thing. 12 hours is a long time to be filming. I've had the gimbal for about a week now, and according to the app, I still have 100% battery life, and I've probably used it for a combined total of about 2.5 hours of runtime. But as far as the app goes, it's not that great. Limited functionality. I'm not going to get into all the details. If you guys want me to do a review of the app with this gimbal, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I will get to that in one of my next videos. So none of the features or specs matter unless it's a good gimbal. So let's take this thing outside and do a few comparisons to see how it stacks up. Okay, so now we're going to do a couple of tests with the gimbal. I've got the Galaxy S8 on a selfie stick here, and I'm going to start filming with it and walk as smoothly as I possibly can down my yard and back, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing with the Smooth Q here and compare the footage there. And I'm going to do the same thing with running, and again, both systems I'm going to be walking it and running as smooth as I can manage and holding it as steady as possible. So as you can see, it does a pretty good job. While you still have kind of the up and down bounce of walking, you're not really going to get rid of that with any 3-axis gimbal. You're going to have to move to a 4-axis gimbal or Steadicam kind of solution to get rid of that vertical movement. But overall, it does a really good job, especially for the price. Okay, now there is something here. If you look at this, screw on the back, this can actually be loosened and turn the entire clamp for the smartphone vertically, so you can film in portrait orientation. Let's go see how well that works. First, we're going to switch this thing up. You just loosen it, and then you got to pull your phone out just a little bit so you can rotate it up. And now what you're going to have to do at this point is rebalance it, because it's going to be way out of whack. You're going to have to correct that. When you've got your phone in landscape mode, this slider is going to be all the way out. What you're going to want to do is slide that in and tighten that back up. You're also going to want to tilt your phone down. If you look, it's very front heavy. So slide that down, and it's more balanced. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Then you power it up, and you're good to go. Let's go see how it works. All right, so I don't have a selfie stick that'll hold my phone in a portrait orientation, so I'm just doing this handheld. This just gives you an idea of the kind of stability you can expect while walking and holding the phone in your hand. Now, everybody's seen the Facebook Live videos and the live streams that are unbelievably shaky. This is what they look like. So let's jump over to the gimbal and see how much of an improvement there is. All right, now this is the portrait mode. I'm using the selfie camera, obviously, which is not stabilized. I don't think it is on the Galaxy S8. I am still hooked up to the phone recording audio, so this will let you know that you can use dedicated audio if you're trying to do a live stream or a Facebook video or an Instagram story or whatever you might use a portrait selfie mode on a gimbal for. So this will stabilize your footage, give you top-notch live videos. So I took this out and loaded up my Galaxy S8 in it. So let's go check out that footage now. So overall, I think the footage looks really great using this gimbal. So this gimbal doesn't get anything but gold stars from me, except the menu button system is just a little bit squirrely. You gotta like hit the single press 2 or 3 times, and then if you hit single press again, it goes backwards. It's kind of frustrating. So in general, this thing gets a big thumbs up. It's lightweight, feels like it was put together nicely. It's got good functionality, even though the app doesn't work, it gets a thumbs up. So don't forget to go check out the links in the description. If you follow those links and buy something, it really helps this channel out, and I would greatly appreciate that. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.